Hello, this is Betamax80 with a quick HP microserver repurposing update. You know these things make me happy. Today, from eBay, I have had a very exciting addition arrive. This sound card. It's a bit of an obscure thing, and it might mean a bit more if you know about computers and sound cards. This is based on the Creative Labs E-MU20K2 chip, which is the same chip used on Creative's X-Fi sound cards. Creative Labs X-Fi Live Audigy sound cards are regarded as being some of the best around because they have the most, how to explain, they have the most technology essentially crammed onto the chip so that the computer's processor is not taken up by processing sound tasks. It's all actually done on the card's own processor, this E-MU20K2. Creative Labs never actually made a low profile sound card that was PCI Express that has their chip on it. They do make a card which is PCI Express and low profile, e.g. the size to fit the microserver. There are two problems with it though. One, it doesn't work under Windows XP at all, and two, it doesn't actually use their chip. It uses a Realtek chip, which is basically the same chip that's used on most motherboard sound solutions when you actually buy a motherboard, however cheap or however expensive, and they just put their own software on top of this generic sound chip, so it doesn't actually do the processing of a proper Creative E-MU chip at all. So this sound card, which I got used, but it seems to have been extremely well looked after. The sound card actually came in the box and in the original anti-static bag, was actually made by a third party using a Creative chip, a company called Auzen, and they were only in existence from 2007 to 2012. They made some extremely high performance cards. They were actually more highly regarded than Creative Labs' own sound cards using their chips. So I'm very excited to have been able to get one of these. So I'll show you the card itself. As I say, it actually came in an anti-static bag. I believe it's the anti-static bag that it actually was provided in. The seal's obviously been broken because it has been inside a computer. So as you can see, it is PCI Express and it is low profile. All of the audio headers come on an adapter that I'll show you in a moment, but anyway, close up, can you see? There we are, there's the chip. Not great focus, but that's a Creative Labs chip, no denying that, and even Creative Labs' own card doesn't have that. As you can see, it's got some extremely high quality components in there, some large, I forget what they're called, those, and I believe it has removable optional amps, op amps, which mean that you can change how the sound appears. I believe that's an op amp. It doesn't do that for the reverse, the normal rear audio, but for front audio and headphones, you can actually change how the sound appears by changing out these op amps. Very interesting, and a high-end card, as I say. I believe that new, this card cost around £120 in the UK, so it's an extremely high-end card. It puts it up there with Creative Labs' most expensive sound cards. So also in the box was a driver CD, but we won't worry about that because even this company, even though they went bust in 2013, very early 2013, they managed to provide 3 updates to the drivers that are on that disk, so I'm not likely to use these. In fact, I have thought about Windows 10 because I'm dual booting with Windows 10 and Windows XP on this card. XP's never been a problem. It's great for the EAX capabilities. This is the how do I explain? This is the processing on hardware that it actually does. But for Windows 10, there's actually been some continued driver support by somebody, making sure that the Creative Labs software still works under later versions of Windows, so very useful. So the connectors, this is different. Go through spaghetti junction here. So this connects to the Soundcard, and this connects up to your potential 7.1 system, and has mic in as well, I believe, and lining. So there's a heck of a lot of connections coming out of the back of that, but it's a very high quality card. And I think that the problem was that what can you do with a low profile bracket when you want to provide so many functions? It also has a separate headphone connector which uses a completely different pathway. As I say, it has its own op amp, so it has a completely different audio pathway to this output. So they had to compromise, and this was the compromise. I can handle that because it's going to have extremely good sound, I hope. Comes with a full profile bracket. Luckily the low profile one was already put on, so I don't need to worry about it. That's good. A special adapter, that's a bit of a long story, but I believe this is to help either a RCA phono type jack or the optical Toslink, as I believe it's called, cable. And this is still in the bag sealed. This is a Toslink cable. It's a bit of an old-fashioned thing in some ways, but it's a way of connecting to hi-fi and having completely lost this sound. So it's a very high-end component, really. I'm quite excited. So the next stage is going to be quite major, actually, I should think. It's going to be a wipe and reload, as I think they say in America. So it's going to be installing Windows again from scratch, because this is quite some serious hardware in this card, and the computer's not going to be happy at all with what I've changed it from, which is quite a simple beast, my Asus Sonar DGX, to this really complex solution. So I think the best thing to do is just to avoid any problems and actually install Windows from scratch. I'll let you know how it goes, but I thought I'd show you the card as it appears. By the way, I've got some speakers on the way too. There's been some slightly mixed reviews, but some people have said that they are amazing speakers for the money. Now, I am only in a student room here, so it's not going to have to fill a massive space. It just has to be good enough quality for me sitting in front of the computer, really, and perhaps listening to some music without some horrible roughness around the edges, which is what my current little 2.0 speakers offer. We'll see how that goes, but the first step for me, now I have it, is this card. So if I seem tired today, to be honest with you, I am very tired. I was up until early hours of this morning completing some written work. Anyway, that's another story. Speak to you soon.